This is the Stewart County Detention Center. It is a $45 million facility located 150 miles south of Atlanta. In it are imprisoned approximately 1,200 immigrants who have been swept up in raids across the United States. In late March of 2007, 1,000 of these immigrants held a 2-day hunger strike, protesting food and inadequate medical care. Word spread of the plight of these immigrants through the Consul General of Georgia and the Atlanta Latino newspaper. When I heard the news of the hunger strike, I asked myself, what would make conditions so bad that 1,000 people would go on a 2-day hunger strike? I decided to look into it, and here's what I found out.
This prison opened up just a few months ago in October. It had been under construction for a number of years. Corrections Corporation of America is the owner and operator, and CCA is one of those private corporations that is in the business of building prison facilities around this country. And so basically, while it was being constructed, CCA was brokering with various governmental entities to try to find bodies to put in this place. And finally, ICE, the immigration folks, contracted with CCA, and immigrants began arriving here in October of this past year. I understand now there are in excess of 1,200 people locked up in this prison. The warden was kind enough to give me a tour of sorts back in November, when there were only about 400 people locked up here, and when I was here I witnessed Hispanics, Mexicans, Hondurans, and some other countries. There were a few Asians and a few Haitians. A number of Haitians actually at that time were locked up here. Now I understand it's mostly Hispanics who are incarcerated here, and they're awaiting deportation for the most part. And those hearings are occurring daily, weekly here at this facility.
That today we have a for-profit detention center, and that our government spends over $1 billion a year to detain immigrants. It's a heroic system. We see here the criminalization of what is in the law books, albeit an outdated law, and one that needs to be reformed and updated. We see the criminalization of what is a civil offense. We see here that that our government and those who are profiting from our government are deciding to use more costly options rather than less restrictive options like electronic monitoring systems. We're seeing here the building of detention centers that only serve to entice small communities in need of an economic infusion, so as to have them not realize their complicity in this whole structure that leads folks into an exodus. And we see here the continuation of the denial of access to legal counsel to detainees awaiting deportation. It is estimated that 84% of immigrants who are being detained do not have access to adequate legal counsel. And so we're seeing all of this continue. And yet we know from the Exodus story that there emerged individuals, the Moses figures, who said, "Let my people go." We are not 35 folks here. We are 1,235 folks.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And we are saying today, let my people go. But there's a problem. How did Moses get to use the term my people? I don't think that Moses used the term my people because he was of the same ethnicity as those enslaved. And actually, I wonder who he was talking about when he said my people. He was both prince and Jew. He was both someone who had identified with the court and who also identified with those enslaved and those entrapped and those oppressed by a system that seeks to exploit them for economic gain. And so I say that when we can recognize that we are both those and we can live in both those worlds, that we are U.S. citizens, who have gained from the exploitation of these individuals who work in our fields, who build our buildings, even government buildings, even barracks at Fort Benning, when we can recognize that we are complicit in this benefit, in this economic exploitation, but when we can also recognize that we are the ones who are imprisoned with them, that our freedom and our justice, it is intertwined with theirs, then and only then can we say with clarity, let my people who work here, who make their paychecks off of this, let them go. Let them live in a more just world. And to the 1,200 who are in here, who are not criminals, who are trapped in a political game, we can say, let my people go.